Okay. So you pulled it out to 6 feet? You got 6 feet there?
6 feet. I'm
6
good.
feet? 6 feet? Okay.
Actually, yeah. That's 6 feet right there.
All right. Well, I wish I said I had good news, but I have more bad news. Today on I have no idea what day it is. How do any of us keep track? It is Sunday, April 12th, which I guess is Easter Sunday. And we're going to record a little video for you because we haven't done one in a really long time. And
You have something you want to talk about.
I guess I have something that maybe I could talk to you about or whatever. So hello, everybody. It's been a long time. This is not a BPRD mega video or a horror movie marathon or anything else that's fun. This is sort of, if you already know everything there is to know about what's going on with coronavirus as it pertains to comic book shops, then I guess this is not for you. For everybody else, if you care, I have a little bit of info for you just so we're all on the same page. So I guess just to start, if you don't know me already, I'm Ryan. Kyle's on the other side of the camera. And if you didn't already know this about me, I'm a comic book retailer. My day job is I manage a comic shop in LA County. And sometimes I take for granted what people know about my business, which is why Kyle's so essential, because sometimes he'll say, I didn't know any of that stuff. That stuff's interesting. You should tell people. And he's a good barometer for that. So in this case, I want to talk about what is going on with COVID-19 in terms of how it is specifically impacting the I don't want to say the comic book industry because there's way too many moving pieces for me to speak confidently about all that. But I will say, I guess the comic book industry specifically as it pertains to the direct market. And when I say the direct market, I mean comic book stores. Basically, also the direct market is like game shops. If you went to a specialty game shop, that would be considered the direct market. Basically, anything that's not a bookstore, if it's not Barnes & Noble, if you're getting your comic book in a comic book store, you're getting it from the direct market. So, what does that have to do with anything? Well, as I was saying, I don't want to take for granted what is common knowledge, so I just want to real quickly talk about, and not have this be really boring, comic book distribution. I am not going to, this is not an essay, I am not going to go into the history of direct distribution and what that means and where it came from. I doubt anybody's really interested in that, but basically, all of comic books, to keep it simple, all of comic books have one distributor. Isn't that a monopoly? Yes, it is a monopoly. The name of that distributor is Diamond, and they have warehouses in, I think, Maryland and somewhere else. Maybe Connecticut.
Any West Coast places?
No.
All East Coast.
Well, the big warehouses are not anywhere on the West Coast. So this is kind of the way it works. So again, I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible. Publisher hires artists and people to make a Spider-Man comic. Marvel hires whatever. They make their Spider-Man comic book. Okay. Then they print. Actually, that's not true. I'm already fucking up. So they make their comic book, and then they advertise it. They solicit it. They essentially say, Spider-Man number whatever the hell is going to be coming out in a few months, and here's the creative team, and here's the summary for the issue. Okay. And then all the comic book stores say, okay, we see that. This is how many copies of that we want based on customers that already subscribe to it. Like how many people that we can confirm are going to get a sale for Spider-Man, whatever the hell. Plus whatever shelf copies we...
Also, Spider-Man, whatever the hell?
Spider-Man, whatever the hell. Spider-Man issue, whatever the hell.
Copyrighted, no one can take that.
What a creative team, whoever the hell.
Mike Mignola, perfect sign up, whatever the hell.
Anyway, so that data goes to Diamond, and then Diamond tells the publisher, hey, it looks like you should print about this much. And the publisher goes, okay, and then they print whatever they think. They might overprint it or underprint it or whatever. Again, I'm not. They print the appropriate amount. Diamond buys that stock, buys a certain amount of stock from the publisher, and then we as retailers, I'm not buying from Marvel. I'm buying physical copies of the book from Diamond. Diamond is the middleman. Diamond has a distribution network that spans the entire country, and also they're also in the UK. I'm not going to speak to Europe and like international whatever. I'm not sure how that goes, but they are absolutely the national distributor for comic books in the United States. So I feel like I don't know how much more I can say about that without like I don't want to end up in some gnarly tangent. All comic book stores get their books basically from the same place. Yeah, but what about this thing and that? Yes, there are some exceptions, some nuances, but for the most part, most stuff in comic book stores comes from Diamond. Okay? Kyle, nod your head so I can pretend you're the audience. Okay.
I'm nodding along. Yeah.
Diamond. So here's what's also different. Okay, so if you've walked
why is this important?
I'm getting there. So also, I feel like something else that's important to understand is the difference between the direct market and the book market. So if you go into a Barnes & Noble, Borders are gone, any bookstores that still exist, indie bookstores, whatever, and you walk in there and you see like a graphic novel, you see like a Spider-Man graphic novel, and you go, oh, where did they get that from? Well, they actually got that from book distributors. They got it from Ingram, or they got it from Baker and Taylor. I actually don't know exactly who Marvel goes through, so don't quote me on it. But like, there's a lot of different graphic novel, which we talked about. You can go back and fish out a really old video to find out what the difference is between a graphic novel and a comic book. But a graphic novel is an actual book. So bookstores, let's say Barnes & Noble again. Barnes & Noble will also get that really popular graphic novel, but they're going to get it through a different distribution source, and they also get it later. So that's one of the advantages of being in having the Diamond distributor, is that we actually get graphic novels before everyone else. We usually get them like 2 or 3 weeks before, like, including Amazon. So sometimes people go, oh, Amazon said it's going to come out this day, and I go, nope, it's right over there on the shelf if you want it today. And then one of the other things that's really important to understand is that one of the huge differences between the book market and the direct market, or book distributors versus Diamond, is the book market does returns. So you order a certain amount of books, and then like whatever you don't sell by a certain date, often or not, you can send those back to the publisher for credit. Whereas in the direct market, in the comic book industry or the comic book store industry, you are traditionally stuck with that product, whatever you order.
Video games used to be like that too.
Yeah. And again, I don't want to get in the weeds. There's actually a really interesting story behind how it got that way, and we could talk about the pros and cons and all that stuff, but we're not going to do that today. Today we're just going to talk about, now you understand Diamond. Diamond is the sole distributor for comic book merchandise in the United States. So here we go. I have a little bit of a timeline here. So today is April 12th. Okay, I'm going to take you back to March 19th. Now it's a documentary.
Which feels like a lifetime ago.
Which feels like a billion years ago. March 19th was the last day that my store was legally allowed to be open to the public. We are in shelter in place, and what that means for us, for LA County, is if you're a non-essential business, you cannot be open to the public. Actually, we're not supposed to be open, period. Don't tell anybody. But so March 19th was the last day that we could have customers in the store. Now, the week before that, and even 2 weeks before that, it's hard to remember, it's hard to keep track of time now. We were still, obviously all this stuff was in the news and we were being careful. We had Purell at the beginning, or at the front of the store. We were leaving the door open so people didn't have to touch the door handles going in and out. We were washing our hands. There were just we were already taking precautions before somebody told us that we weren't allowed to have customers in the store anymore. So March 19th, our first giant roadblock. Again, as kind of an industry, because a lot of the big cities were also following, like, they had a similar timeline for these shelter in place, what do you call them?
Edicts.
Edicts, yeah. And so you're a comic book store now, and they tell you, well, no more people inside the store. Well, that's a problem. Okay, that's fine. We saw this coming, right? The writing was on the wall. We had actually been planning for it for quite a while. Made sure we were able to process credit cards in a efficient way, and PayPal. How would we do this? How would we be able to get people's books and still take requests? And other stores that were getting the shelter-in-place edict before us, in our instance, it'd be up north. So like San Francisco was really bad, and obviously up you go further north, and Washington was pretty bad. So we were sort of looking at other stores to see what they would do for precedent, and curbside pickup became sort of the norm. So basically it's like, okay, so people can't come in the shop, but as long as we do it safely, we can take people's requests, we can get their money via whatever, and then they can just pull up in their car, and we can run their books out to them, and there's just the same way like takeout.
Barnes & Noble is still doing.
Which Barnes & Noble is doing. Best Buy is doing. I got a phone case from them like 2 weeks ago, and they ran it out to my car. So curbside pickup is becoming like the new vocabulary. I have people still calling and saying, hey, I think I saw something on your website that you guys do curbside pickup. It's like the new button word for retail when customers cannot come into the store. Okay, so that was March 19th. So we said, okay, that's fine. We can do this. We were still going to get our new merchandise on Mondays. We typically get our new stuff on Mondays, and we check it in and do all of our subscription polls. We give the comics to the people that had already pre-ordered it or whatever. And then new comics, here's another thing I don't want to take for granted. New comics come out on Wednesdays. New stuff always comes out on Wednesdays. The same way that record stores don't exist. But when they did, they came out on Tuesdays?
Video games came out on Tuesdays also for a while.
Okay. And then like movies used to come out on Fridays, and now they come out on Thursdays and Wednesday nights, who knows? But there are no really any physical media releases anymore, but for comic books, it's still on Wednesdays. Okay. So we thought, okay, that's fine. We understand, we know what our pipeline is now for dealing with this, not being able to let customers in the store. But everything got worse.
And not already having an online business, for that matter.
No.
So that...
No. I mean, we sell like rare books and stuff like that on Amazon and eBay, but it really doesn't have anything to do with our actual clientele.
But you didn't have an internet site you could purchase from the store already.
We still don't.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Because that'd be like telling a store like overnight, like, hey, put every single thing you have on in a database on a website. Well, we have thousands of books in here. And that's not something we can do with two people, not at least in the amount of time to just turn it around and all of a sudden have a web store. But that being said, okay, back to the timeline. So March 19th, last day we are allowed to be open to the public. So I'm trying to imagine again other stores, and you should try to. This is all an exercise in imagination, because it's really hard to see like outside of your own like sphere. But in this case, imagination is key. So I try to imagine if I'm a store that's in a relatively urban, city, and these are the things that I'm forced to do, and we are very like proactive, but also a lot of our customers live close to us, right? A lot of people are within walking distance to us even, and the idea of like being able to service everybody via curbside pickup, it's a challenge, but it's not something that we can't do. I'm trying to imagine a store now that people live like a half hour away. Like, and there are lots of stores like that are servicing customers in like neighboring counties and stuff like that, because people are a little bit more spread out there. And I went, wow, well, the idea that customers can't come to your store. So there are roadblocks here. Okay. March 19th, that was our roadblock. Okay. Our next roadblock. So at March 19th, they tell us we're a non-essential business. We have to be closed. The bigger question hovering over everybody is, our new comics going to keep coming out every Wednesday? They're supposed to. It's a very important part of our business. A few days before, March 25th would have been the next Wednesday, that basically somebody would have needed to say something about whether typically, again, we get our stuff on Mondays. So over the weekend, we found out, no, there's not going to be any new comic books on March 25th, except now I'm getting so twisted with my dates. It might have been April 1st. But
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. At some point, and you go, why? Is it the publishers? Did the publishers decide to stop printing books? No. Diamond said, we're closing down. And I'm not, this isn't even a thing about whether that's a right or a wrong decision. I assume they're doing this to keep their employees safe or whatever. Like, obviously, with everything that's going on, you can't fault a business for doing this. But since Diamond has a monopoly on distribution, that means that since we're just going to say March 18th or 17th or whatever it was, mid-March, there have been not just no new comics, no new anything. And not just no new anything, no resupply. I literally am stuck with everything that I have that I already had inside the store on the 19th. And again, I think about other shops. We have a lot of graphic novels. It's something we've specialized in for years. And so it's always been important for us to have a huge variety. That variety is being tested right now. But I imagine another store that maybe that their store that is more geared towards, again, just Wednesday sales, comic book Wednesday sales. They don't have anything. They don't have like a lot of stuff to move. They're dependent on new merchandise. So that's rough. So Diamond closed, and they cited several reasons, but I mean, one being just like, if not everybody that is a part of Diamond Distribution works for Diamond Distribution. So there's a network of other warehouses and trucking companies, and if those supply chains are interrupted because of this, that interrupts everything. So in other words, our warehouse, which is we were very lucky. Our store is very close actually to one of our Diamond receiving warehouses. If they decide to close, well then that's it. Like, we don't have if they're not going to do it, then Diamond doesn't have a way to get the books to us. So why am I telling you this stuff? Hopefully you're following. So again, imagine this. Every single comic book store in the country has not had new books since the middle of March. And right now, they have no idea when they're going to get new books. So that's the situation, not just for me, but for everybody. Now, why does this matter for the comic book industry? It really is. The question is actually really, why does this matter to the comic book stores? Because the reality is, so many stores have all, and the customer too, all because this is an ecosystem. And already by today, April 12th, tons of comic shops have already gone out of business. There's just too many of them that are essentially month to month in terms of what the money that they're earning and putting that money back into new merchandise to buy and then sell it again. They couldn't survive longer than whatever. They didn't have what they needed to be equipped to do that. They could do mail order. If they'd never done it before, it'd take them too long to turn around, all of a sudden learn how to do that. And then the amount of money that would bring in was so little, they'd have to let their employees go, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Again, it's a lot of stores are already gone out of business, and a lot of stores are going to go out of business before this is over. That is a fact. Will we go out of business? I hope not. So far, we're doing okay. And when I mean okay, I mean like we're not starving. And that is us working 10 times as hard to make like at most maybe like 25% of what we would typically make. And that is important for us just in terms of obviously to keep the lights on, but also just to keep some community together, because I don't want everybody, if this keeps going like months, I don't want people to forget. It's so easy to forget that you were a part of that community. Anyway, I'm getting a little outside of it. So comic book stores are definitely in mortal danger. The direct market is absolutely mortal danger.
And why is that important overall to the comic industry?
Now, this is where everybody fights and thinks they know everything and decide. nobody has all the answers, okay? One person's going to say digital sales account for this and direct market sales account for this. And because there's a distributor and a publisher and retailers and then also a customer, so there's essentially like 4 different hands things pass through, it's really hard to get like serious data when it comes to the comic book industry. So take whatever I'm saying anecdotally with a grain of salt, I guess. This is the data that I have and the things that I see and I observe. Last time I checked, and it hasn't been wildly debunked or anything, it's typically agreed that digital sales, and when I mean digital sales, so I mean like not pirating, we're going to talk about that, but if you buy stuff on Comixology or you subscribe to Marvel Unlimited or one of these things, that amount of people is not anywhere close to supporting the comic book industry if comic book stores went away. Does that make sense? Comic book stores, if they went poof overnight, which they're sort of in the middle of doing, the amount of people that would be left that were already spending money on comic books digitally is nowhere near close enough to support the industry at its current level. So, yes, maybe Marvel and DC keep going because they're owned by giant corporations that could treat these as just like IP generators, essentially, and then just go straight to digital. And then maybe like when there's enough digital comic books, they can put maybe they put those together in a graphic novel for the book market. And so maybe they survive that way. Well, great. I hope you were all happy with just Marvel and DC comics because that's all you're going to get. Tons of smaller publishers will go out of business, are going out of business currently. It's not like it's going to happen. Like, I don't want to like sit here and start listing off like companies that are in trouble or are, already gone. But especially if everything just went like straight digital, it would be a big problem. Also, your comic book stores are where you get your community. Again, I have nothing negative to say about discussion forums or, chat rooms or anything like that. But the reality is that most of what you lose when the comic book stores go away is having a place that you can go talk to somebody face to face about comic books. So I'll like kind of tier my different like levels of like you should be taking this seriously or the like real threats kind of thing. Beyond like actual like the world ending or any kind of Mad Max situation. So the thing that is definitely in the most amount of danger, or the most like clear and present danger, are comic book stores, for sure. They don't have anything to sell. Also, there's all kinds of other things too. Like, what are you gonna do? What does a store do if they can get books from the distributor, but they can't sell them to anybody? Because they can't. Besides the fact that customers don't want to come to the store because, again, it's dangerous to go outside or, whatever. You're being safe by staying home. Beyond all that, like, you can't let customers into your store. So, and you might not have the infrastructure to be able to pull off something like curbside pickup. So comic stores are definitely, it's a problem. And I would argue that, again, this is where your imagination comes into play. If comic book stores disappeared that quickly, and also if our one sole distributor is gone, also because this is like how much money do they owe the publishers? How much money do they have left over to how many employees can they keep? I know they've done a lot of layoffs already. But if Diamond was just like, oh, we're done, then it's. I'm not saying that comic books won't survive. But kind of comic book industry just goes bye-bye.
Is she pregnant?
Yeah. You gotta watch the show.
Oh, you actually talk about it this season?
Yeah, actually I bring Danger back in on the show.
Really?
Pregnant.
There is no comic book industry without the stores. Maybe, but it'll look very different, and you will not have the current variety that you enjoy right now, that I enjoy right now. So
talk about you mentioned a story to me about how they like an indie publisher would give you like 100 copies for free of like a first issue, in hopes that it will garner enough sales for the future to then continue on with that. Meaning, like, without you, they have no one to give 100 free copies to.
Yeah, specialty shops or the direct market again. We are very important to anybody that's not a gigantic publisher. We are the taste makers to some extent. And that's not to say that there's not a lot of good books to people to find on their own on the internet. There's tons of web comics. People do Kickstarters. There's a lot of people that don't go through Diamond. TKO is a newer publisher that's not going through Diamond. I think they're swell. I hope that their business model is doing really great. So it's definitely possible, but it's harder. The actual level of amount of publishers that Diamond enables to get into comic book stores is pretty large. We used to have these Diamond catalogs, and they're these giant fat magazines that come out every month, and they let you know what's coming out from all the new publishers in like a couple months. And the first half, well, Marvel has their own now, and DC has their own, but it used to be Marvel and DC. Like, the bigger companies were like the first half of the catalog, and then the whole second half of the catalog were all these other publishers. A lot of people didn't even look at them because they look at the bigger publishers because they're more popular. They don't even bother with them. There's like a whole world of smaller publishers. A lot of my favorite stuff comes from.
And the stuff you recommend to others.
And the stuff that I recommend to others, yes. So, yes, can comic books exist in a world where the only comic books are basically Spider-Man and the Avengers and Batman and like all that kind of stuff? Sure. And am I being like would there be other things other than superhero comics? Of course. But to the degree that you have right now, no way. So why does this matter to you? You probably like comic books, at least a little bit if you're watching our videos. Lord knows I do. I mean, like, and I talk about this stuff, and then people read them or watch it, and I assume that you guys, in turn, also enjoy comic books. Now, I'm saying all this basically to say, if you want to know what you can do to help, I would say that the number one thing is if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. I know people don't live near comic stores, or it's just not, it doesn't make sense for you. Who knows what. But if you are able to support your local comic book store, do it any way you can. If they're like us, they will hopefully have a ton of older stuff. Anything that you haven't read before is new to you. It's still a new book to you. We have, like I said, thousands of books in here, so we're in a good position for this. I have to work very hard to hustle and go like, yeah, this book has been sitting on the shelf for 3 years. I know you've been ignoring it, but now you should get excited about it because I need you to spend some money.
Especially you don't have anything new to read.
You don't have anything new to read, so it's a good opportunity to try new things.
And how have you been doing that?
However, we've been
advertising to customers.
Very social media, dude. So since we take trade-ins here, we sell a lot of used stuff. I'm trying to think of something that's like a chain. Book Off is something we have here, but that's not national. Just anywhere you can go, you could think of. You have a used bookstore chain, or a place where you can go and you buy old used DVDs for real cheap or whatever. We are in that game. We take graphic novel trade-ins here and comic book trade-ins here. So we have sort of a never-ending supply, a dragon's hoard of trade-ins. That this would have to go on a long time for us to actually run out of stuff to show you. So every week I'm hustling. I get out another big box and I price things at $5 and $10 and stuff, and I pick out things I think that are interesting, and I get on social media and I go, all right, guys, this is the new stuff for this week, and it's people left and right, like, oh, I want that Kingdom Come. Oh, I want that used Watchmen. Oh, it's this. And then we're processing payment over the phone, and then those people are coming by and we're running it out to the cars. It's a lot of work that I'm willing to do, but it's a lot of work to make, like, whoa. And if we're hustling that hard, again, like other stores, I don't even know. But it's how do we do that? Yeah, essentially that. Like I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook. I do Facebook live sales on Wednesdays. Like I sit here exactly where you see me, and I bring out stuff I just think is cool, either books that I really enjoy or stuff that we found that we can sell real cheap, or the opposite. We go and get like really rare out of print stuff that goes for a bunch of money, and I talk about that, and we've sold some of that stuff as well, and that's been fun. It's a way for me to like kind of keep engaged with my customers, my clients, and yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah.
So anyway, other things that you can do. So if you can buy something from your comic book store, a lot of them are doing curbside pickup or delivery. I know it might be cheaper to get it on Amazon, but maybe consider for a moment what your local comic shop is going through if you want them to stick around. If that's that's the simplest thing you can do is just spend money, buy something that you actually want to read from them. But it doesn't have to be just that. For example, I know I have customers that again they just have zero interest. They've read everything. I get that. You can buy a gift certificate. A lot of stores, you can buy a gift certificate from them, and you're basically, I will pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Like you're giving your store very valuable income, that you can spend when the store eventually opens up again.
That was a Popeye reference.
It was a Popeye reference.
It's an old one.
I'd gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
There are also quite a few publishers that are doing amazing work on their end. So off the top of my head, I mentioned TKO before. If you go to TKO and buy from them, by the way, they're great. They have books from Garth Ennis, Jeff Lemire. Their stuff is really fantastic. If you go to TKO and you name drop your store, your local shop, TKO will send them some portion of the money that they made on that transaction. I don't remember exactly what it is. Some small. It's a Live Press. I think is just doing straight like half, which we've had like $30 come our way from customers that bought stuff from It's Live Press and said, "Oh, my local store is Pulp Fiction in Long Beach." And
Not Culver City.
And half the proceeds go to them. Black Mask is doing some stuff. Like there's these smaller publishers are definitely like really throwing their weight into it. So I guess this is kind of just a big PSA for like, hey, guess what? You know what? Comic book stores are an endangered species currently right now. No, they're not. But they will. There's very possible they become an endangered species after this, and maybe just go away altogether, because if there's only like if they're already a specialty shop, and if they get even more specialized and niche than they already are, I just don't see them looking like comic book stores. It's going to be the same thing that happened with GameStop. Like you're going to go in and it's going to be, you'll have maybe some things that are related to comic books, and you'll have a bunch of Funko Pops and toys and posters and clothing. So basically like, like a Hot Topic, and I'm not judging like stores. Every store has to do different things and be flexible in their own way to earn a living. But I personally run a comic book shop, and most of what I sell are comic books. And man, that would be so sad if like 10% of what I sold were comic books. And I don't know that my heart would be in it, to be honest, if I was in here and I had candy and, posters and toys and stuff. All right.
But that's not important.
But that's not important.
The important part is the industry.
The important part is the industry. So, yeah, that's it. Stop stealing comic books if you're stealing comic books, I guess. Stop reading them for free. You are actually hurting the industry. Even if those websites get ads, like there's a whole ecosystem there in terms of like you're still enabling something bad. And I mean, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and like moralize on. I live in another third world country, and what am I supposed to? I get it. Fine. I'm just simply saying that if you have a way, if you are currently capable of actually supporting your local comic shop, please do so. And by the way, if digital is the only way they can do it, keep doing that too. Because I'm not a person that thinks digital is going to. I know that digital is not going to kill. Coronavirus might kill us. Kill us as an industry, or kill comic book stores specifically, but digital's not going to. I've never thought that. I know that the digital numbers are not that high, and I don't think they're honestly going to get that high. Like the book market, like like novel market, like books, the market for that is bottomed out as much as it's really ever going to be bottomed out. I mean, it's not going to get any worse than it's already gotten. Digital has taken as big of a bite out of that market as it possibly is going to at this point, and books still exists. People still want physical books. So,
I just bought 2 Aliens books in the last month.
There you go.
You know?
And then there's a whole secondary market where used stuff or whatever. So I'm not scared of digital. Digital, if anything, for me, is a platform for new readers. It's like I say good, digital's awesome. I think somebody that maybe their first comic book is digital, and maybe later they come to like hard copies of things as they get more invested in it. But I still think that digital exposes more people to comics than it would without having digital. So digital's fine. I feel like I'm actually ranting now. So the just support any way you can, because from a comic book retailer to you, who's been doing this for over 10 years now, and again, this is all anecdotal. I don't have some super privileged information. I'm telling you that the threat is very serious, and I know that there are more important things in the world to worry about right now than comic book shops. But if that sounds like something that's important to you, I would say again, like comic book shops, it's not looking good. And if comic book shops fall, I don't know what that says about the comic book industry. So think about it in terms of Domino's, I guess.
Not the pizza.
Not Domino's Pizza, which Domino's Pizza is probably doing great right now, right? Like
$5 for delivery.
I think Domino's is probably cleaning house right now. The money, man. If you invested money in pizza delivery, telecommunications, or what, like any kind of mail order, anything like pharmaceutical. Yeah, well, that's Jesus. So
with all that said,
that's all that said. I'm sorry that. I haven't talked to you guys in a really long time, and the first thing that I say in a really long time is, hey guys, it's kind of scary. So yeah, it's sad. I have customers that, they are no kind of tech savvy. They're a little bit older, and they do not know how to stay informed. Like with a website or social media or anything like that. And they're not talking about comic book stores and local news. So they're still coming by on Wednesdays, and I gotta go, hey Clive, no, there's no new books today, dude. I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you know when. I don't know either. And we literally don't know. And I'm wondering if the comments now are gonna be littered with like all the things I'm just trying not to talk about rumors.
Yeah.
I'm trying really hard not to talk about things that are not actually confirmed. Yes, everything that you're about to say, I know. I've heard it. I'm in all the special Facebook groups with the other retailers, and I know all the same leak website, like muckraking leak websites that you do. Yes, I know that this and that and the other thing. But as far as like what is ironclad, not a rumor, the reality is that there have been no new books for almost a month. We have no idea when new books are going to come out. That is enough of a disruption in the flow of merchandise that is absolutely killing comic book stores. Depending on how bad that interruption in distribution is, may kill comic book stores completely. If comic book stores go away, from my personal vantage point, I don't know how the comic book industry continues. I really don't. I don't see how you could have one without the other. So that's it.
To end on a good note.
To end on a positive note, hey, we're going to watch Leprechaun Returns, right? The fan-demanded eighth movie in the franchise, but only a sequel to the first film, because that's right. Isn't that what they're doing?
It's the sixth one.
No,
and it's a sequel to the first one.
It's a sequel to the first one.
Yeah,
yeah. It's the seventh, including the WWF picture, isn't it?
What?
So there's Leprechaun 1, 2, and 3, and then Leprechaun in Space.
And then there was two.
And then there was the two Leprechaun hoods.
Yeah.
We're gonna watch that by the guy that did The Void.
So that'll be the return of AlphaRookie.
Where we're not talking about
Return.
Well, we might be talking about awful things. I don't know. I've actually heard some good things about it, and some bad things, some good things. I'm intrigued to watch
And it will be audio. We will not be on camera sitting next to each other.
Podcast.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe throughout all this we do more stuff. I have no idea. It's really up to Kyle. We still don't have a recording studio, and I was very busy with the shop, and still am, because I am struggling tooth and nail to get any dollar I can. So I'm also pretty busy, but maybe we'll make some more room. Anything else that I didn't cover?
Nothing.
Questions? All right. Bye, everybody. I will be active in the comments if you guys have additional questions or want to chat or whatever. I don't usually I haven't gone into the comments of YouTube in a really long time. Every once in a while I go back and there's just a voice that it walks into the empty room and says just something random. I really like pinky toes, and it's kind of hilarious. It's just who are you? Nobody said anything about pinky toes, I don't think. But anyway, point is I will chat with you guys. All right, that's it.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
And if you are gonna buy something, buy Transmetropolitan. It's so good.
Did you know? Because I've been trying to get Kyle to watch Castlevania on Netflix, so I'll push that. If you're Castlevania Netflix, A+, man, that's my favorite show. This is the same writer. Did you not know this? Does that at least push the needle for you a little bit?
I will watch the mission.
Okay, Castlevania animated show on Netflix is written by Warren Ellis, the same gentleman who wrote Transmetropolitan.
Which is so fucking good. Okay, that's the last one.
That's the last one. Maybe.
Stop it.